Evening, everybody. Tonight I'm going to be making N as in Nancy 6604 New Look. And I'm going to be making C down here. There's a few things you need. You need some elastic cord, a button, and some ribbon or tie. Okay, for my elastic cord, I don't have any, and I used this last night, and it worked pretty good. It's elastic trim, so I'm just gonna sew this in half, and then cut it, and then I can use it for my button loop. I don't have ribbon, so for my ties on my sleeve, I will be just making some out of my scrap material. And this is the material I'm going to use. It's cotton. So I got my pattern cut out. Let me just get my fabric cut out, and then we'll be ready to sew. Okay, we're gonna stay stitch our neckline. And then we're going to sew our center back up. We have to go over and make some marks after, but get your neckline done first. Okay, we have our back, and it's gonna have the center seam. You can cut this on the fold. I don't change what the company says to do, but you can cut this on the fold, but you gotta remember that you're taking up 5/8. So when you get to your number 3, your neckline, things might not equal out right. So you're gonna have to play around with it if you don't like back seams. So we have to go mark this. Center seam is below the large dot. Okay, so we got to find the large dot and mark it. Let me get this out of the way. Be sure everything's even. Pin this up because this was for the cutting line to see. So let me pin that up so that doesn't get in my way. All right. Okay, so right here, you'll have your numbers. So 12 is right here. So mark that. And that's where you're gonna stop sewing. You're gonna reinforce that. Just get this all even. Okay, so pin all the way down from your big knot or dot all the way down, and then you're gonna sew 5/8 all the way up, reinforce here at the dot. So let me pin mine up and sew it. Remember, do a 5/8 stitch up to the dot. Okay, so now go to your ironing board, and we've done these backs before. Open up your seam and iron all the way up. Keep going to the 5/8. On each side. Okay, now find where your little dot is, where you stopped, and turn under like 1/4 of an inch and press it. And do that to the other side. And press that. I'm going to put a couple pins in. They want you to baste it, but it's a small area to get this right, so I'm not going to baste it. Okay, so what you're going to do, as close as you can, sew all the way down. Here's your little closed area. Come down like 1 or 2 stitches. Pivot, come across, and come back all the way up. And I'll be right back. Alrighty, this is what you'll have. It's just called squaring. Okay, now we're going to stitch our back to our front at the shoulders. So let me get my front piece. Match up your notches, right sides together. Okay. Let me pin that, and then I'll show you. Get your number 6 again after you have stitched your neck, and we're going to make tucks. And all it is you're matching up the 2 outer lines coming to your dot and sewing. So how I do it is, where's my front piece? Okay. Get your material. Get your pattern. And the first thing I do is I just pin, just to kind of keep it where it needs to be. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. Okay. Get a marking pin. Okay. Let's see, over there just a little. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is mark my bottom dots. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't want to sew beyond these dots. So mark your dots. And you have to do this on both sides. Now you have the 3 lines here. So what I do is I mark these lines. One, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. And you're gonna match the 2 outer lines. That's where you're gonna sew these down. So mark your 2 lines, and you can actually put like a pin in here and see that you're hitting the other line, which I am. And then you're going to sew down till you hit your first dot. And then you're going to come back, match your next, and sew down and keep going. So let me get this done and I'll be right back. Now start to sew right where that mark is. Okay, and that's right on. So just sew down like that. And I'll see how far I can get tonight. It's thundering, and if it starts to lightning, I don't like to have my machine going. So we'll see how far I can get. Okay, you can always check to be sure you have your tucks right. If you take your back piece at your shoulder and put it together and match your notches, you should be like right there. I can't get my fingers to work tonight. So, see, I'm right there. So that's one trick to do. Okay, then come to your ironing board, and you want these pressed away from the center. So you want to go this way. So just press these, and then mark your other side. Do the same thing, and then just baste across here. So when we sew the shoulder in, it will have all of these going away. Okay? So let me get my other side done, and I'll be right back. Okay, now what you're going to do is get your front and back, and you're going to sew it at your shoulder seams. So let me find my back. Match your notches. And pin and sew 5/8, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, and this is what you should have. Don't worry about that. That's where I was just ironing. So there's that part. So now we need number 3. So get your piece number 3, and you can pull out your basting. I forgot to tell you that. Just pull out your basting from your shoulder, because that's all finished with now. Okay, let me grab my number 3. And that looks good. Just be sure all your tucks are going the right way. Yep, okay. Yep, okay. Okay. And there's one piece, I believe. Okay, you're going to fold this in half. Wrong sides together. Match your dots. And press. So let me do that. Okay, wrong sides together. We have to go and make a few marks here. So get your pattern. All right, 12. All right. Okay, there's a few dots we have to make. Just line up your notches and then come down here. I probably should do this on the other side. This is right there. This is our center line. And come back down here and make your other dot where you're, okay, and then I'm going to flip it over and do the exact same thing. And then 12. Okay, I have my dots in. Let me grab my shirt. Okay, so your small dots are gonna go at your shoulder seam. See, and that's gonna leave you a little left to turn over when you finish this up. So let me pin this and I'll be right back. Once you get this all pinned up, you're gonna sew a 3/8 seam allowance. Be sure your seams are flat in the back. So just keep working around. Like it says, you're gonna have to kind of stretch it a little to make this work. Not too bad, but okay. So keep pinning. I'm almost there. There's my notch. So, okay, a couple more pins. Okay, and then sew this 3/8, and I'll be right back. So sew this 3/8. Go slow because you want to be sure that you're catching your edges and that they're even, so your neckline will come out right. So sometimes what I do is I put my hand under here before I sew to be sure everything is even. Okay, so what I'll do is just be sure all this is even. And I'll put my hand under here and lift it up and feel it, just to be sure everything's okay. We're gonna press. So you're just gonna press this out. And then we have to make the loop for the elastic. Or the button. Okay. Okay, so like I said, I am just using this elastic trim, and I'm just gonna cut a piece, sew this in half, and then we need, let's see, it doesn't really say. My other shirt was 1.5 inches, so I'll just take it at that. So this is what I'm gonna do. So let me get this sewn up and I'll be right back. Okay, I have mine done. I'm just gonna cut 1.5 inches because that's what one of my patterns said last night, so, and it seemed to work. And you're gonna fold this in half. And you're gonna sew this on the left side of the shirt. So let me see, this will be my left. And right above pin loop to the left, back edge of facing just below neck seam. Okay, just below it. Okay. So let me be sure, so when we turn this. Okay, my stuff seems it's gonna be a little fat for this unless I just do it a different way, which I would have to put it in this way. And have that folded, and then bring this down so it would be like this. So I'm gonna try to make a little strip out of my material and see if that'll work a little bit better. Okay, I'm gonna do mine a little bit different just because I don't have the cord. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold my corner right here, and I'm going to put my loop right even with that seam. And then once I turn this, my loop will be, I'm gonna shorten it, but then my loop will be right there, because then we're turning down this neck line. So that's how I'm gonna do it. So I'll be right back. Okay, let me see if I can explain how I did this. This is my facing, my neckline. Right above my 3/8 stitch, I folded my end in, and then I lined this up with my 3/8 stitch. So once this is turned down, it'll be like this. So I hope I explained that good enough, because that's the only way I could do it with the, even with the material being thick. But that'll work because we're coming down here. So, okay. So we have to baste all of this around. Now you can layer cut this if you want. I usually don't. So I'm gonna go along and baste all of this, and then we have to sew it down. Okay, so let me do that. I'm gonna grab myself a cup of coffee first, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm gonna trim a little of this thickness away. What they want you to do is bring this down. It says to the edge. So you're essentially gonna have a seam coming down, or going across, I should say, down in this area. So that's the edge of it. So then you would have your neckline like this with a stitch going across. I have to cut off some of this bulkiness, which it says you can. So I'm gonna do that and then pin up. Like I said, I have to change a little of the way that my loop went. So we'll just have to kind of deal with it that way. So I'm just gonna have to bend my neckline down like this. Okay, let me get some of this trimmed off and pinned, and then we'll go to the next step. So come to your ironing board. Let's see, and I'm just gonna bend mine down so I have it like this. So I'll have that seam so you can't see it. So I'm just gonna press it and pin it or clip it. And do that all around, and then just sew yours right down in here, and that way it'll give you like a little seam going across your neckline. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm gonna sew this up, I just got that seam right on top. And what I'm gonna do, like I did with my other one, I'm gonna come about 2 inches and sew this way so it doesn't get stuck on the bulk. And then I'm gonna come to this end and come 2 inches and sew and go over that bulk. And then I'll just pick up and sew all the way around. Just be sure that you have everything nice and flat. That's the only way I can do this without having that right loop cord. So this is how we're gonna do it. I'm not saying it's right, but it's the most, I don't know, right way for me to do it. So, okay, let me get this sewn up and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have that part sewn up. So then I'm just gonna come back where I started and sew all the way around. Just be sure that this is flat when you go around. So just put your hand underneath or a finger and just be sure that it's nice and flat when you're sewing it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, find yourself a button and sew on a button, and then we're gonna stitch our front and back sides. So I'm sure everybody has a button container. Just find the button and that will match your, go through your loop. Okay, I'll sew this on real quick. Okay, with right sides together, we're gonna sew our side seams. So get everything even, match your notches, 5/8 seam, and I'll be right back. Okay, and then just go over and press your seams open, and we're gonna do the sleeves now. So we'll get this all ready for the sleeves. Okay, sleeve is number 7. That's going to be pretty. Okay, number 7 is our sleeves. And we're gonna ease stitch between the notches. So ease stitching again is just a longer stitch. So I usually put my sewing machine to like 3.0. So from the notch to the notch, ease stitch. And I'll be right back. Okay, now we're gonna stitch the seam of our sleeve. So match your notches. This is gonna be 5/8. And let me get both of mine done and I'll be right back. Okay, come back to your ironing board and press your seams open. And then you're gonna turn over about 1/4 of an inch and press that. And when you come back around, you're gonna go up about 1 3/8, and that's gonna give our casing for our ribbon or our ties. I'm gonna make some ties, but let me get this done. Get your little handy ruler here, and then turn up, measure, and press. And pin or clip, and then we're gonna sew this. Remember to sew close to this folded edge. Okay, everybody, we just have to make some, I'm just gonna make like bias tape for my ties and sew our sleeves and our hem. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. It's midnight and I'm getting tired. So I'll just keep the video going. There won't be a part 2. So I'll see you in the morning. Okay, good morning, everybody. We left off at the sleeve. Before you sew it, be sure you open up your buttonhole. I forgot to. I was getting tired last night. So I'm just gonna open mine up. Just be careful not to get your outs or your inside part. And then I have to make my ties. So, but I'll fix it in the video for you. So let me get my ties going and I'll be right back. Okay, all I'm doing is I'm taking about a 1 1/4 inch strip and I'm folding this in half, pressing it, and then press your ends. These are about 21 inches long. So it's essentially kind of like making bias tape, and then fold at the crease and then fold the other side to the crease or just about to it, and then fold it all on top of each other and sew down the whole length of it. Okay, and then fold it again on top of each other and press it and then sew. Oh, that iron's hot this morning. Okay. And then you'll just get a little tie. So I'll get these going and I'll be right back. Okay, once you have them done, just take a safety pin, and in each sleeve, you're just gonna go through your buttonhole and thread it through. And you're just going to come out the same buttonhole. Okay, then just gather it a little, and either you can tie a bow or just a knot. And then you'll have this. So let me get my other one done. Alrighty, and then you can just adjust it once you put it on and see how tight you need it. But I like the way it looks better with the matching material. That's me. I don't know. Okay. Okay, on your sleeve, you're going to have some dots. So, you have one here, one here. This is my center. And this is my notches and my seam. If you don't have your notches, just go back to the pattern and lay this down and just match everything. Now, we did an E-stitch on top earlier, and this is going to help us just kind of ease this sleeve in. So here's my, and you just kind of move it till you can get the sleeve to go in the way you want it, where it's going to be matching everything. So pick up your shirt. Okay, here's my shirt. Okay, right sides together. I really should put this inside out. Hold on a minute. Okay, right sides together. You're gonna match your notches and your dots. And you're gonna pin this. So 5/8 around, and then come back in between the notches, stitch like 3/8 for like 6 inches, just to reinforce your armpit. But be sure you match your notches. And let me get this one pinned around, and I'll be right back. Okay, once you get your 4 points done, so I have my 2 notches, my seam, and then my top at my shoulder seam, that's when you start pulling your thread, and you just want to get this all even. And I do one side at a time. So I'll have something like this. And once I get that done, I go to my next side and pull my thread and do it again. Okay, once you have it pinned, you're going to sew 5/8. Be sure your edges are even. And then do your next sleeve, and I'll be back. Don't forget to place your hand under here and be sure everything is flat. Okay, before you sew your 3/8, open this up and be sure you didn't catch any of your shirt. And see, I'm right on with my seams. So then just turn it wrong side again and then just stitch your 3/8. But you just want to be sure that you didn't catch a shirt or your shirt. Okay, get that all flat. And then from notch to notch, 3/8. Do the same thing for your next sleeve. And I'll be back as soon as I get this one sewn in, and all we have left is the hem. And then we will be finished. Alrighty, after you have that done, we're gonna hem. And it's a narrow hem. So you're gonna turn under a 1/4 and then another 1/4 and press all this, and you're gonna sew. So let me get this done. Okay, everybody, here it is. And you can see the tucks here, and then it's really long sleeve, but I just pushed it up. But just get where you want your sleeves and tie it. So that's that one. Okay, so that was New Look N6604, and I did C, and I bought this pattern yesterday, and I think I might do A right here. And I bought a bunch of fabric yesterday. So I'm gonna figure out, this is what I bought yesterday. So I'm gonna figure out which one I'm gonna use. I might use this one. So, but that's it. So if I can help anybody with this pattern, please contact me, message me, leave a comment. And if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, thumbs up for the video. And I will see you tomorrow, and we will be doing this one, 6808. So you all have a great afternoon. I'm gonna go and edit this and get it out, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.